He sold out stadiums and wrote anthems for a generation. And behind the mic, he hid a darkness that would shatter lives and shudder a nation. This is the story of Ian Watkins. How fame became a mask for monstrous crimes. How investigations uncovered technical evidence no one thought possible. And how in the end, justice and fury collided inside a prison cell. Ian David Karslake Watkins rose from Merthyr Tydfil, Wales, to lead Lostprophets, a band that, at its peak, filled arenas and produced chart-topping albums. Charismatic, tattooed, and magnetic on stage, Watkins was the frontman who embodied a new wave of alternative rock for the early 2000s. Fans cheered. The industry rewarded him. The songs, interviews, and concerts painted the picture of a successful musician living a rock star life until the first cracks began to show. The same charisma that built a career would later be exposed as a veneer from say. Roughly 2008 onward, troubling whispers and private complaints reached police and people close to Watkins. Former girlfriends and acquaintances reported disturbing behavior, inappropriate images, and drug-fueled episodes. Those early warnings, collected over several years, would later form a haunting pattern. A high-profile figure alleged to be preying on vulnerable people, sometimes leveraging celebrity status to manipulate others. The official record and later inquiries would show multiple missed opportunities to stop him earlier. The public never saw what was happening behind closed doors, until investigators did. In late 2012, law enforcement moved. A series of arrests and searches culminated in a major operation that shocked the UK. Police found indecent images and material on Watkins's computers and seized devices that contained far more than suspected photographs. Investigators later revealed that encrypted files on his laptop contained video evidence of sexual abuse, the kind of material that would transform suspicion into incontrovertible proof. Intelligence agencies were even drawn in to help crack encryption and access hidden drives. Those technical breakthroughs were decisive in laying out the scale of the offenses, from pop star to criminal suspect. The music stopped. The probe. That became the backbone of the case, brought together specialist police units, digital forensics teams, and national security resources. The investigation, often referenced in press reporting as a comprehensive multi-agency effort, decrypted files, analyzed messages, and pieced together a network of grooming and abuse. Court documents later revealed chilling details: messages, coerced recordings, and video files showing abuse of infants. In the courtroom, some of the evidence was described as among the most depraved the judge had seen. The inquiry also revealed failings, prior reports from victims and witnesses that, had they been pursued more robustly, might have curtailed years of offending. With the evidence assembled, the case moved to court, and the world watched. In November 2013, Ian Watkins pleaded guilty to a string of offenses that included the attempted rape and sexual assault of a child under 13, multiple counts of sexual assault involving children, and the making and possession of indecent images. And including material involving animals, the prosecution presented a catalog of carefully gathered evidence. In mitigation, defense counsel painted a fractured, drug-addled portrait of the defendant, but the judge was unsparing. In December 2013, the court handed down a lengthy custodial sentence: decades behind bars, with a long minimum term and an extended license period after release. The sentencing remarks described offenses that plumbed new depths of depravity, and the judge made clear the profound harm inflicted on victims and communities. The legal closure offered little comfort. Public reaction was fierce. The revelations blew apart the remaining respect and nostalgia for Lostprophets. Bandmates denied knowledge, and the group disbanded. Fans, journalists, and politicians expressed horror and disgust. Campaigns for victims' rights gained renewed urgency, and an independent police watchdog later concluded that South Wales Police had missed chances to intervene earlier. A finding that reopened a painful question. Could system failures have allowed more crimes to continue? The media coverage was relentless, mixing moral outrage with scrutiny of how celebrity can both mask and enable predation. As outrage settled into institutions, the story moved behind prison walls. Watkins entered the UK prison estate as one of its most notorious inmates. High-profile child sex offenders often face extreme risk inside custody, and prison life for him included tight security and transfers between facilities. Reports over the years showed that Watkins continued to be a problematic figure. Allegations surfaced that he attempted to groom from behind bars, and officials grappled with how to manage a man both reviled and dangerous. While some inmates and campaigners considered vigilante violence an ever-present threat, prison authorities were under pressure to protect life while keeping the overall system functioning. Prison is meant to serve punishment, rehabilitation, and safety, but it can also be a crucible for further violence. In October 2025, emergency calls from HM Prison Wakefield reported a serious assault. Prison staff attempted to save him, but Watkins was pronounced dead at the scene. West Yorkshire Police launched a homicide investigation. Within days, 2 men were arrested on suspicion of murder and later charged. Authorities said Watkins died of a stab wound to the neck. The incident sparked renewed debate about prisoner safety, the ability of prisons to segregate and protect high-risk inmates, and the ever-present question of how notorious offenders should be housed when other prisoners may seek violent retribution. An inquest and ongoing criminal proceedings followed as the public and press tracked each legal development. The death closed the legal chapter on the defendant, but left raw questions open for victims, families, and a system that both convicted and then failed to keep him and others alive. Ian Watkins's rise and fall is not merely the story of one man's descent. It is a haunting case study in how charm, celebrity, and access can conceal predation, how modern investigations rely on technical feats to reveal hidden crimes, and how institutions sometimes fail those most at risk. The victims, some of them infants, remain central to any measure of this story. The headlines should never obscure the lives harmed and the long, often private aftermath of recovery and trauma. There is an ugly moral argument that circulates after events like this, that prison justice, even violent retribution, is somehow a necessary correction. But justice in a civilized society is bound to rule of law, accountability, and protection for all, including those behind bars. The failures that allowed early warnings to go unheeded must be examined, not to assuage public fury, but to prevent further victims. He once walked on stages to roaring crowds. Now the echo is of a life twisted beyond the songs, and the terrible truth that sometimes fame hides the darkest things we can imagine.